It's time to talk about testing. I'm so excited. I love testing. I created React testing library to make it so that everybody could love testing React apps. And I'm excited to show you how I go about doing that. So testing React applications is really 100% about confidence. You want to be confident that you can ship your code without having to manually go through every single thing every time you make a change, because sometimes you make a change over here, it breaks over here, and without just checking everything, you can't really be certain. And so testing, automated testing that we're going to be going through, is a mechanism for making you confident that when you make changes, you can ship without having to check every single little thing manually. So let's dive into the repo. This one's actually a little bit different. So the repo is testing React apps. And if we come down here, you'll notice I do have some prerequisites. Don't miss those for sure. And then here in the setup, it's exactly the same as everything else. The difference here is going to be in the application itself. So because the exercises are tests, we're mostly going to be working in the tests, not in the app. And actually, if you look at the app, it's pretty sad. There's not a whole lot here. The only reason the app exists at all is for you to be able to look at the actual implementation so you can play around with it as like you're working on figuring out how to test this thing. So there's not a whole lot to the application itself. You'll maybe spend a little bit of time in here, but most of your time will be spent in the tests. So let's pop open the tests over here. I'm going to open up another tab here. Will run npm t, and you'll notice that we actually have, if I hit A, it'll run all of the tests. We have a lot more tests. And they're all passing. Your job is to follow along with our friend Cody the Koala. And Cody is going to tell you, okay, you need to write a test for this thing. And your job is to do that and have your test continue to pass. So you'll notice we don't have a final or an exercise in the source directory. For the testing one, it's all in the dunder tests dunder directory. And Jest is going to look up all the files that are in there and run them as tests. So here we have our exercises right here. And because we don't have an actual app for this one, you're going to be looking for that background and exercise information directly in the markdown files themselves. So that's where you're going to be reading through that information. And then your actual test file is going to live right side by side with that, and you'll write your React tests in here following along with our good friend Cody. So that's what you're going to be working on. It's going to be good. There are extra credits for this, just like everything else. Plenty of extra credits for you to work on. And again, you're going to be working in with the Jest test. So I'll just mention here, you'll probably want to scope down your tests to like 0, 1. If I want to work on 0, 1, I'm going to just type 0, 1, and then I'll use my arrow keys to select the exercise file that I want to have run. So we'll just run exercise, and then we'll follow along with Cody to make sure that we've tested everything out. And other than that, everything else is basically the same. So where you get the elaboration and feedback is going to be here at the bottom. You just copy and paste that into your browser. And yeah, outside of that, everything else is there is one other thing here in the components directory. Those are the things that you're actually going to be testing there. So you're going to, like all of the things that you import are going to be imported from that components directory. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And if you want to, you absolutely are totally free to dive into those implementations of each one of these to get an idea of like, okay, so I know I'm not supposed to be testing implementation details, but I would like to know what the implementation is. That might give me a better idea of how to test it. So that's the goal. That is the workshop. Remember, testing is 100% about how can you be confident that you can ship things. And another tip, when you're looking at a component that you want to test, step back for a second, think, if I were a manual tester, how would I test this? And then make your test do the thing that the manual tester would do. And that is all that I'm going to give for you. Have a good time in this workshop, and we'll see you on the other side of it.